The New York Giants, what a season. Brian Daboll effect just came in full force. The team were 32nd in offensive DVOA last year. This year, they're 10th, which is just a huge leap. Daniel Jones really set some career highs in completion percentage, career low in interception. And I mean, Rich, what do you think? Is it worth keeping Daniel Jones in New York for next year?
I think it's difficult because I think that a lot of my big thing is that head coaches and GMs basically get one bet on a quarterback. And I think that basically if you get that bet wrong, the chances are you're not around to make the second. So I don't think that Daboll believes in Daniel Jones enough, and I don't think Daniel Jones is good enough for him to be the one bet, if that makes sense. So my gut feel, and I've been saying this all year, is that I wonder if they either sign him to a potential bridge type quarterback contract, a short-term 1-2 year deal, or they let him walk out the door altogether. I don't think they're going to pay him 35-40 million a year over the next 3-4 years. That, let's be honest, there's a massive quarterback shortage that he could potentially get. I don't think the franchise tag is a potential, because I think that's going to be saved for Saquon Barkley. And look, Daniel Jones was really good this year. He was 11th in EPA per play. He was 7th in completion percentage over expectation. And let's not forget who he was throwing to. He was throwing to, guys off the street, guys who've been on practice squads for the last 3-4 years. Like, it was a joke in terms of that receiving room. If he was signed long term, I think he'd be amazing. He'd probably be like my QB 13, 14 in Dynasty. But right now, I think this situation, I worry where he's going to be next year, because I'm not sure if New York's going to commit to him long term.
Yeah, you briefly kind of mentioned there that he feels less of a candidate for the franchise tag than Saquon Barkley. He's somebody who had a really good bounce back this year, and he was somebody I was very much in on best ball. And I think they kind of have to look to sign him depending on what the contract looks like. Like, he just seemed that, he had a spell mid-season where he seemed to drop off a little bit. But throughout the season, he had the 5th most receptions amongst running backs, 2nd most big runs among running backs. And he's only 25 years old. So what do you think the future looks like for Saquon?
I think that Saquon's the perfect 3-down back, isn't he? He's 6th in running backs in target share. He was 3rd in goal line attempts. So he's getting those high-value touches. And then he was also 2nd in the league in big runs. So he can take it to the house anytime he touches the ball. In terms of best ball redraft, I think he's, going to be a high end of the first round pick next year. I think he's going to be a player that you can hopefully build your team around. In terms of Dynasty, any running back approaching that second contract, I'm looking to sell. And I think that now is potentially your opportunity. If you're looking to maintain peak value, if you're looking to sell at that max spot, this is probably your last time, because let's not forget, there was huge concerns about injuries this time last year. Those concerns haven't dissipated. They are still floating around.
Yeah, and you've currently got his value as a mid to early first round pick. I think a lot of people are going to struggle to pay that with these 2023 draft picks at the minute. People are very glued to them. But one other player that we've got on screen there is Wan'Dale Robinson. You've got valued in your survival kit as the late 2nd round pick. How do you feel about him? Because he seemed to have okay moments this year. Like, he fell into that slot role, which we know has been valuable with Sterling Shepard in previous seasons. And then, of course, he got injured.
Yeah, I think he definitely flashed. He was 19th of 113 wide receivers in targets per route run at 24%. So he is, when he's on the field, he's getting targeted almost 1 every 4 routes he's running. He can get open. He can command that volume. The challenge is that his ADOT was only 6.2. Like, he's not getting the high value touches. So he's not getting the goal line attempts. He's not getting, deep downfield shots. So he's going to need 7, 8, 9 targets a game to be a usable fantasy option. And whenever there's a non-elite player that needs that kind of volume to be fantasy relevant, I'm always slightly concerned. So, yeah, I like him, potential flex play, but I don't think he's ever going to be more than that.
And the only other rookie worth touching on was Daniel Bellinger. How do you feel about him? He kind of 3 touchdowns on the season, I think it was. Kind of pretty average, no real blow-up spots, but he didn't look bad.
I think that I've talked a few times now about rookie tight ends getting overhyped, and I think that we see a little bit of a flash from a rookie tight end, and all of a sudden we go, "Oh, they're only a rookie. They flashed. They're going to be incredible." And he's already being drafted as a a top 20 dynasty tight end. I don't know where he'd be going in best ball, but I reckon he's probably getting drafted. He was only at a targets per route run rate of 13%. The reason he produced was because he was on the field the entire time, and that sounds like a good thing. But I would rather a player that flashed in a smaller sample size than basically was the only receiver on the field for the Giants at times last year and still didn't really produce anything. He was the tight end 25 in points per game, averaging 6.8 points. That's just not anything for me to get excited about. So I'm very happy for somebody else to draft him in whatever format. And if I'm wrong, I've not really missed out, because at best, what is he going to do? A fringe tight end one.
He's currently going as tight end 24 in early 2023 best ball, so the hype's not there yet, but there's plenty of time for that to come.